Hi there, this video is about garnishes. I'm going to smile a little more in this video than I did in the last one, not be so serious. But as you'll only be seeing my hands most of the time, you won't really know about that anyway. So let's get on with it then. Okay then, the first thing about cutting fruit, and we're going to start with real basics, because you wouldn't necessarily need to know how to cut fruit unless you work in a cocktail bar obviously, so I don't expect you to. First I'd say what you really want is a really nice looking fruit. This one looks okay. You want to have a nice colour to it, nice and firm. That's very important to get the essential oils out of the fruit, which we'll go through in other videos. Make sure it looks nice. Obviously this is going in somebody's drink. If you have a fruit that's got like brown bits on it or markings on it where it's been bumped around in transit, then it's not going to look too good. If you do find fruit like that, then try to save as much of the fruit as you can. If there are any nice parts on it, then use those. Otherwise just throw them away. So we're going to start with the lemon first. So the way we start by cutting the lemon is to make sure the ends are both trimmed off nice and neatly. Make sure you take a decent amount of the lemon off, because you want to make sure you get through to the fruit, like so. It's a little overexposed, but hope you can see that. There we are. Want to make sure that there's no pith covering the fruit there. You can see that's the pith, is the white part there. So make sure you go through sufficiently to release all that lovely lemon juice. We're going to turn it over, do the same on the other side, making sure that we go all the way through. Don't know if you can see that there, but all the essential lemon oils are squirting out as we do that. And the reason we do this is so we can rest it nice and neatly on our chopping board, like so. Makes it a lot more easier for us to cut. Then we're going to go through it lengthways, through the middle, from top to bottom. Like so. So we've got two halves, just like that. And then you can rest those two halves on the bottoms like that. So again, you've got a nice, sturdy, steady piece of fruit to work with. You're not having to hold it in your hand or anything, you can just rest it on the chopping board like so. And then we're going to go lengthways again, down the fruit, and just cut nice little semicircles. Like that. There's no need for me to go all the way through it. So you should have something that looks like so. That's your basic lemon semicircle. Also what we can do is to do a lemon wedge. So I'll use this other half that we cut to show you how to do the lemon wedge. This is very similar to the lime wedges that I'm going to be showing you. And the way you do this is to cut it into 4 quadrants. So we're going to go lengthways again, but instead of cutting across the side, we're going to turn it and we're going to cut the diagonal angle in towards the center of the fruit, like so. And finally the last one, like so. So you end up having something that looks a little more like that. Nice big chunky piece of lemon. It's the kind of thing you might get if you're having a prawn cocktail or seafood, so you can squirt plenty of lemon juice into the drink, onto your dish. Okay, moving on to limes. As I've just shown you there with the lemon wedges, you cut the limes exactly the same way. So you would trim the ends off, like so. Always trimming these ends off, just because it looks much neater. Just take the end off there. Looks much neater, and it gives you a steady. It should stand up on its own like that. You haven't got any rocking going on. Okay, and as I've just shown you how to do the wedges, we're not going to do those with the limes because they're exactly the same. What I'm going to show you is the basics of tattooing fruit. And if you remember the channel knife and the zester, this is where this piece of equipment comes in. So first we're going to use the zester, which is these 5 prongs on the end here. Okay, and to do a basic tattoo, what we're going to do is hold the fruit firmly, and the curve of the blade should fit against the curve of the fruit, like so. So you don't hold it that way, obviously, because the blades aren't going to be touching it. You hold it like so. That's it, so it's against it. Then holding the fruit firmly in your hand and pushing firmly with the zester against the fruit, dig in. You want to give it a nice rotation all the way around the fruit, taking off all that lovely zest, like so, and you'll end up with something like that. Okay, now you can take this another step further, and we can go lengthways. So if we do this 4 separate sections, all the way around, just leaving a gap in between each section. I don't know if you can see that on there. It's beginning to look a little bit like a hand grenade. In fact, that is one way. There's a New Orleans drink called the hand grenade, and you would do it all the way around and stick this in the top. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to make a nice pattern on it, so each wedge of fruit, when we do cut it, looks a little bit prettier and a little bit different. So on the opposite side, where you have no zesting going on, we're going to take our zester below that original line, and we're just going to do the same spacing as we did before on the top, leaving that same gap all the way around. So then we have something like this. There we are. Very, what you might call a tiki style. Use it in a lot of tropical and exotic drinks. So then when we have that, we go back to using our knife. Get rid of that zest. And then we can cut in halfway through, as before, like we did with the lemon. That gives us a nice, sturdy, stable piece of fruit. And we're going to cut those sections now into 4, just as we did with the lemon. Cutting at a diagonal angle once again. Always reaching the middle point. And you'll end up with something, hopefully, something like this, which looks just a little bit more attractive to pop into the top of your drinks, like so. Okay, now oranges. Now as you can see, this orange, I've already tattooed it. And what I've done is I've gone around the whole fruit, just scoring it in different directions, crossing it over. I don't know if you can see, pick that up there, but you can actually go over the lines, so you get more of a dotted effect. Just make it looks a little bit like a cricket ball, I guess, but just do any pattern that you want. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use these for the blue sky Mai Tais, and you should be able to get 2 strips of orange, tattooed orange, from each one. If you do one at the top half and one at the bottom half, you should get 2 strips. Here we go, this is where we get a vegetable peeler, and we're going to dig in, and we're going to take it all the way around, making sure you put sufficient pressure on that fruit. You want to dig it right in, otherwise it will easily tear because you've already scored it quite a lot already. So it's going to be a very thin piece of peel. And it's okay if it's not perfectly even, as long as you're going round it and taking consistent length off. We're going to curl that round a piece of lime. So here we are. Just about to the end now. And there we have it. So you have something that's looking a little bit crazy. Something like this. And when we wrap that round a piece of lime, it's going to look pretty cool. So that's a little bit more advanced. We do need to practice that. We'll probably get 3 out of that one actually, because I've just taken a thin part of the top. So I always try to get as much from each piece of fruit as you can. And we'll go through a lot of fruit when making cocktails, so if you can get as much peel out of each fruit, so you can use one fruit for like 3 or 4 drinks, that's brilliant. Doesn't always work that way, but just try to be as economical with fruit as possible. So very basic then, going from something that's quite advanced, I'm going to do a very basic orange twist, basically it would be called. And that's just going straight from the top of the orange down to the bottom. A nice long curve. And again, holding it firmly. You should see all those essential oils spraying out. I don't know if you can see that on that camera. Possibly not. Got a nice thick piece of zest there. That smells fantastic. And you'll have something like that then. And obviously that looks a bit bulbous, a bit ugly, a bit gangless, so we're going to trim that. Try not to trim it too much. We want to still keep a fairly nice thick piece, so we'll make sure that when we express the oils into the glass, we get plenty of oil in there. Now if you can just look at the inside here, this is the pith side. All those little holes there, those are all the holes that hold the essential oil of the fruit. So we want to expose as many of them as possible. Now some pith left on it, all this white stuff. Now if that goes into the drink, that's going to give a bitter taste. We want to take as much pith off as possible. As it happens, as I peel this, that's pretty good, is that almost all the cells are exposed there. I wouldn't really take any more off that, unless you were being really picky. But it would be quite time consuming. So all I'm going to do with this piece now is to just trim it neatly, so we have a nice straight piece of fruit. Like so, you got something like that. And then, as in an old-fashioned, or lots of other drinks actually, that would use orange in the top. Once you've exposed all the cells for the essential oils, you would hold the peel like so over the drink, so it's zest side out towards the drink, and then you would just squeeze. Let's see if I can see it here. Just squeeze it towards you, so you're going to squeeze the top and the bottom towards you like so. And as that happens, all the essential oils will fly out into the glass and give a really nice nose. In fact, you can even rub the top of the twist around the edge of the glass, and that's called rimming the glass with the oil. And then you can give it a twist, something simple like that. Just give it a little squeeze to make it keep its shape, and pop it in the top of the drink like that. Very simple garnish.